Hi friends, welcome. This is Archangel. In case you are unaware, we elevate and worship females, and we devalue and degrade males. Why? Well, if we could, for a moment, remove our reproduction-driven biology and the pervasive anti-male societal prejudice from this equation, what else, if anything, causes the two sexes to be treated differently when they are in miniature form? Think hard. What is another super duper ginormous reason girls are richly favored over boys? There is a deep and fundamental reason for the preferential treatment, something to which girls and their likeness avail themselves very readily, thus fulfilling an insatiable need that adults have. Quite simply, juvenile females, little girls, represent innocence in a world of ugliness. Huh? Allow me to elaborate. People, no matter who they are, serial killers and megalomaniacs notwithstanding, have an intense need, a basal desire to believe that there is some good out there amidst a sea of negativity, some living form of goodness, of purity and innocence in life. In order to accomplish this need to believe in purity and goodness, people tend to label or designate someone or something as the embodiment of that pure and wholesome vision. And obviously, we designate juvenile females with this accolade. Reasoning for this desire is not lacking. You see, when adults witness or observe the never-ending stream of ugliness and violence in the world, a compulsion, a desire, then rises within them to seek shelter from such negativity through the exact opposite, which is positivity. Folks subconsciously long for refuge from the negative with anything positive. People seek to balance the yin to the yang, the good with the bad. People long for lush green forests and mountains to balance out the concrete urban circus that they must deal with 360 days a year. People need a tropical oasis to believe in when they are surrounded by nothing but parched desert. We can observe pain and suffering all around us. Thus, all people at some point have a need to believe in innocence and virtue. Believing in goodness somewhere keeps most people from nihilism and heading to the mall with automatic rifles. Assuming this human need to believe in goodness is accurate, most people crave an icon, a living symbol, on which they can place all thoughts of goodness and righteousness. This symbol of innocence and goodness is, of course, the female, more particularly the juvenile female. Little girls are those in whom we collectively place our accolades of innocence and utter purity. People bestow little girls with humanity's collective aspirations of virtue and honor, then exalt them as the very embodiment of goodness. Oh, but little boys are pure too, yes? Yeah, you bet. People may give this argument lip service for the sake of debate, but deep down everyone realizes the truth of the matter, which is that we hold little girls as the absolute epitome of innocence and purity. They are living symbols that there is good in the world. Girls fill a symbolic role for adults who need to mentally balance out the violence and corruption of reality. Oh yes, boys may be viewed as innocent to a limited extent, but not nearly to the degree that our culture uses the juvenile female to symbolize absolute sacred virtue and wholesomeness. And juvenile males are only seen as innocent because they are not yet able to rape, pillage, and plunder. Just give them a few years. There are other symbols that we use to represent innocence and purity. Puppies are close, rainbows are fairly pure, and Santa's helper elves are pretty virtuous as well. But then they have to be. It says right on the elf application, must have a level 3 virtue certification. Oh, and no DUIs in the last year. Thank you for applying with St. Nick Industries. Whenever somebody really wants to evoke emotion or thoughts of goodness and innocence, they nearly always use the image of a cute little girl, something which advertisers and those in the media seized upon long ago. They realize that despite declarations of fairness towards boys, most people still look to and believe in girls as the most wholesome and pure of all creatures. Though boys are every bit as pure and innocent as girls, people can't help but judge little males by the same jaded criteria and stereotyping that they use to judge fully grown males. After all, little boys may be cute, but they are still male, and once matured, it is these fully grown rapists, murderers, and plunderers who will continue to perpetuate all the ugliness and corruption present in the world. Whereas girls grow up to be amazing, glorious adult females, nurturers and creators of life, who bust their backs every second of every day trying to stabilize and balance out all the evil in the world, who spend every last tick of the clock trying to heal the sick, cure the afflicted, right the wrongs, who give every cent they have to the poor and destitute. Their presence blesses and sanctifies the very ground they tread upon. Flowers bloom where they pass. They are incapable of malice or debauchery. They are the holy warriors against the villainous male plague, and except for the grace of females, this earth would have been annihilated long ago because of male filth. I think that about sums up our deep-seated beliefs regarding the sexes. Thus, juvenile females equal our very salvation. Treat them with awe, wonder, and the obedient thankfulness they deserve. And juvenile males equal Tasmanian devils beneath drooling toddler exteriors. Knock 'em upside the head at your leisure. You'll be doing them and everyone else a favor. Understand that people cannot truly love boys until they jettison their prejudice towards the male sex. Kind of an important point there. People can't truly love boys until they reject their prejudice towards the male sex. Look down the road a ways. The drooling toddler is history, replaced with a full-grown male. What good is he now? Just another useless, self-absorbed male who, just like the rest of his kind, will run around, phallus in hand, corrupting everyone and leaving only chaos and ruin in his wake. In a gynocentric world, females enjoy such a wide latitude of automatic trust and presumed innocence that if you want to convince anyone of female wrongdoing, you need solid, undeniable, incontrovertible proof. And even with rock-solid proof, people will not believe, or they will not hold her responsible, because after all, she was a victim, tainted, influenced by some evil male somewhere, and she needs rehabilitation, not punishment, to bring her back to being her innocent, loving, wholesome self, just like the rest of her sex. Whereas to convince someone of male mischief, all you really need is lies, false accusations, and slanderous hearsay. In addition to the pro-female environment kids grow up in, many girls are influenced into taking on a sense of superiority and therefore entitlement from slick product marketing as well as from loved ones. From t-shirts to stickers to backpacks, to mom and dad and their teachers. Descriptors such as princess are touted, written, and spoken everywhere a girl turns. Other items, such as dolls that are bratty and snobbish with exaggerated beauty features, suggest to girls that being spoiled, bratty, and superficial is hip and cool, the way girls should be. Couple this with preferential treatment from adults, and girls start believing that they are, in fact, more important and favored because they are female, and this attitude only grows stronger as they mature. Parents may indeed cherish and encourage hostile male attitudes in their adorable little princess, fostering her male hostility and prejudice as cute or harmless or as a defense skill. If little princess develops a hostile dislike towards boys, then she won't put up with any of their crap and she can protect herself. Old nursery rhymes such as sugar and spice and everything nice being what girls are made of tells girls that they embody everything sweet and good, thus suggesting that they are better, more special than boys. As little girls mature into adolescence, they are made to feel even further valued through the commonplace praising of their developing femininity. This actually ties in with the previously mentioned role of juvenile females as symbols of wholesomeness and innocence. Womanhood and feminine virtue, or more specifically the idea of female virtue, is vehemently cherished and protected. In simple terms, female virginity is cherished above all else because virginity and innocence go hand in most people's minds. Thus, since females embody innocence and purity in an ugly world, and they have a uterus, well, I think you can do the math here. On the other hand, nobody makes a big deal about male virtue. What? Male virtue? Oh, that's rich. It's true. Males entering sexual maturation are just as precious as females, even if the jump has not yet been made from theory to practice in most households or people's minds. In this case, as with everything else, actions speak for themselves. When's the last time you heard of a boy's blossoming manhood being protected as fervently as a girl's womanhood? When's the last time you recall a boy's mom cleaning her guns or polishing her knives while interrogating the girl that wants to date her precious son? Or perhaps you've heard of a boy's parents insinuate threats of bodily harm towards his date if she didn't keep her hands to herself or if she violated his virtue. When's the last time you heard a boy's parents tell his prospective date to keep her boobs in her bra, her snatch in her pants, and to be a lady around their son and treat him like a gentleman? Maybe you've heard of a boy's older sister beating down girls who disrespected her younger brother. No? You can't recall seeing any of these things? Gee, that is so strange. You'd think that since we value boys as much as girls, it would be commonplace to see males protected as much as females when it comes to juvenile dating. Oh wait, no, that would be in a perfect world. Oops, my bad. Yet everybody has seen examples, whether on TV or in real life, possibly in their own family or that of a friend's, of a fuss being made over dating age females. You know, the typical dad intimidating, even threatening the date or the boyfriend against inappropriately touching his daughter or violating her, with flat-out warnings to keep his junk in his pants and his hands to himself. Or the brother threatening the sister's boyfriends, or the characteristic mom being glued to her daughter's side like a second skin so as to protect her from being polluted by boys. And all of this fuss over females because, well, one, females are so weak and fragile and delicate, they need super duper extra special protecting against the evil, violent, ignorant depravity of the human male. And B, as discussed earlier, people need something, a symbol, on which they can place their thoughts of purity in virtue, to believe in something as wholesome and innocent, devoid of the ugliness and depravity so prevalent in the real world. Hence, these hopes, labels, and idealisms are hung on females, specifically girls. So when it comes to protecting female honor, meaning keeping her hymen intact and unadulterated by disgusting ejaculating man-apes, you combine the female elevation and male devaluation along with gynocentrism and puberty, and voila! The results become glaringly obvious. And so people, especially parents of teen and preteen females, run scenarios through their minds of hormone-engorged boys running around like crack-headed monkeys on a meth bender, chasing after these sweet, innocent, oh so fragile girls, seeking to violate them in every way possible. Now we simply amplify, exaggerate, and run these faulty scenarios over and over and over again in our minds, and bingo, we end up with the biased and prejudicial overprotection of female virtue and honor. This also speaks to people's religiously inspired issues with sexuality. Obviously, the reason adults do not want teens having orgies is to prevent everything from STDs to premature parenthood, and rightfully so. Well, that, and they want to continue lighting candles at the altar of daughter's virginity. Woe unto you, and cursed be the day that daddy's little princess can no longer be the ultimate symbol of purity and wholesomeness after she has been tainted by carnality. Allow me a brief content detour for just a second. One reason for our worship of virginity is that people have bought into the religious notion that sexuality and innocence cannot coexist, and that once sexuality is introduced, damage takes place and innocence has been forever lost. What a load of crackerjack malarkey. Sexuality and innocence can be bedfellows. You can be sexually active, innocent, and virtuous all at the same time. Now, as far as males being sexually active, sovereign, and empowered at the same time, well, in this gynocentric environment, no, not so much. Yet that is another issue. Organized religion has sold us a bill of goods which states that sex, though a necessary evil for procreation, is counter to spirituality and God, because sex is dirty and bad, a temptation of the devil, even though God is the very being that created this means of procreation. This is why Christianity has tried for so many centuries to sell the Immaculate Conception of Christ. That way, they could explain Mary bearing a child, yet at the same time, she can retain her innocence and virtue, since she was not defiled by sexual activity or male peepees entering her holy vagina. While at the same time sex is anti-spiritual, violence, in certain circumstances, is allowable, even encouraged by a God who endorses child A to teach child B a lesson through violence, or for child A to kill child B if child B won't convert from their heathen ways. Being naive to sexuality or ignorant to carnality, this is irrelevant to innocence. I say innocence is lost when a child learns to devalue others. Innocence is lost when a child learns to be prejudicial and bigoted. Innocence is lost when a child willfully harms another. Innocence is lost when a child becomes selfish and egotistical. Sex is simply a scapegoat used by religion to distract one from the true detractors of innocence, which are hatred, violence, and negativity. So, rather than go to DEFCON 1 full alert lockdown every time teens of the opposite sex mingle, perhaps parents should be paying more attention to the types of opinions and intolerances their child is developing towards their fellow human being, rather than stressing about which base their princess has been to. Sex and innocence, even childlike wonder, can all coexist. That's right. Startling revelations. You heard it here first, folks. And even if you did not hear it here first, just pretend like you did, because we here at Startling Revelations Incorporated pride ourselves in being the first to reveal startling revelations. Okay, back on topic. I am simply pointing out how we treat our juvenile females more favorably than our juvenile males. I am elucidating the hypocrisy and double standard present and determining reasoning for this blatant discrepancy. Well, for one, females are superior to males and obviously more valuable, and we protect that which is more valuable. 2, females are the epitome of wholesomeness, innocence, and purity, and we need to protect our iconic deities. And 3, females are precious, delicate, and need extra special protection against the big scary world. All this overprotection and preferential treatment with special gloves conveys one message to both sexes. Females are more precious and more valuable. But guess what? Both sexes are equally valuable. And you know what else? Even at the height of my puberty, with my hormones going crazy, I never was driven to go out and ravage any female I could drag into a dark, seedy alley. Actually, my experiences and observations have illuminated the contrary. It was the girls who were mischievous and initiated sexual relations as well as wrongdoing, because they realized that they were glorified above all else. They were above the law in everybody's eyes. Many teenage boys are more docile and gentle than most would think, yet they are still hounded by the hormone-crazed pubescent, propagandized male slander, and pushed by parents to be aggressive and go out for sports rather than chess club. While on the flip side, if the true thoughts and behaviors of many girls were known, I think our hospital emergency rooms would be ill-equipped to receive the sheer number of flabbergasted parents suffering from shock. Doctor, this mother is in arrest, and this father is in shock. They just found out their little ray of sunshine thinks about sex. Sex with boys. You're right, nurse. This is serious. Get me the paddles, 20 cc's of epi, and for the daughter, I'll prescribe 500 milligrams of religious dogma twice a day. Stat. So this is where we are so far as a species. Females are innocent and utterly pure. Males are, what they always have been, murderers, rapists, and plunderers. We see ugliness and suffering in the world, and we need to believe in goodness and purity. And guess who we crown as wholesomeness and divinity? I'll give you a hint. It's not guys. So, you think boys are mischievous and females are wholesome? Alrighty, tidy-whitey. Think about this. Many teen females are entering puberty and sexually developing younger and younger, some sprouting mammaries and menstruating as young as 11 or 12, which is due to many factors, not the least of which is the estrogen overloads we encounter daily in our environment and in our foods. Meanwhile, many teen boys are lagging behind in terms of age in which they enter puberty. Because of the same estrogen overload, some 16-year-old boys still do not have a single hair on their chinny chin. So let's think about this here, people. You have females developing sexual characteristics along with the accompanying hormone fluctuations who are sitting around with other young girls who are also developing new organs, new patches of hair, and new urges. Idle time and curiosity. Gee, what's a girl to do? Maybe, possibly, entertain themselves until the boys catch up. I don't know, just a thought. People would be blown away to know that their little princess, their icon of innocence, thinks about more lurid material than their whacked out teen son. Furthermore, I think parents would be absolutely caught off guard if they knew how many teen girls are experimenting with their girlfriends. So, policing boys around little Muffin may not keep her carnal innocence intact, as in many cases, it's the teen girls who are getting the first taste of cherry pie. One day I was talking with a female who basically told me I grew breasts and pubic hair and it was all over from there. I thought about sex non-stop, though I was a virgin until I was 18. 18, huh? Yeah, well, the slumber parties don't count. Slumber parties? What are you talking about? I returned. Oh, it's nothing. Just a bunch of us friends would have slumber parties and make out with each other and just, experiment. It really started off as us girls just comparing our developing bodies. Really? Well, what all did you do with each other? I asked her. Well, it started off as kissing, then tongue and some fingers, and eventually oral, toys, and anything else we could think of. We were mostly 14 and 15. Then, when the boys started sprouting their own pubic hair and noticed us, we sort of lost interest in each other and focused on the boys. So then I asked if she knows how common this is. Well, most of the girls I knew, and everybody had these slumber parties, and they still do from what my little sister tells me, it's no big deal. Unbeknownst to her, this is not the first time I have heard of this happening amongst teen females everywhere. I have been told by many females, now of legal age, that teen bi experimentation amongst girls is bigger than anyone knows, and that many teen slumber parties are basically make-out and experimentation sessions for teeny bopper girls. Yes, I know this does not constitute the entire teen and preteen female population, but believe you me, I have heard this particular piece of information from more than a few people. Yes, I have heard references of circle jerks, but I have never encountered this or anyone who has. Is it really so surprising? Females are entering puberty and maturing much earlier and faster than juvenile males. And because of the toxicity of gynocentrism in our culture and society, males are being more and more shy and withheld. So, of course, females are going to be curious about these new feelings and urges and this new budding thing called sexuality. Oh, no, this can't be. Young females are the utter incarnation of wholesomeness, purity, cleanliness, like warm, fluffy bunny slippers who would never think about bean flicking or carpet munching. Whacked out teen males are the polluters of innocent, pure teen females, right? Come on, people, back me up, right? Moreover, because females can do no wrong, because they can have their cake and eat it too, because drooling males encourage female experimentation. Thus, females will openly admit to experimenting with other girls, like it's no big deal, because society is cool with females being together. But here is more duplicity, because we don't have the same enthusiastic sanctioning of males experimenting. Females, well, of course, duh, they are attractive and desirable. But males? Well, they're ugly, and they have that nauseating protuberance down there where Left Leg Avenue meets Right Leg Street. What male in their right mind would admit in broad daylight to entertaining thoughts of experimenting with such malformed mutations? Worse yet, what male would ever act on such demented, disturbing thoughts? Males of all ages know how disgusting they and the male collective are viewed as, or at least they should know because we tell them every day. But then, males are also stupid, so we need to constantly remind them and everyone of their shortcomings, every hour on the hour. Females are different. Females are glorious. Nobody can blame any girl for giving in to the seductive calls of ecstasy from these angelic sirens. And thus we have a world obsessed with females. Males think about females. Females think about females. Chipmunks think about females. Popcorn poppers think about females. So it's normal for everybody to desire females. And if that desire spills over into a little female on female juvenile experimentation, well, yeah, totally understandable. But if teen males were found experimenting, they would be hauled off to some pray the gay away religious camp. So, yeah, many females have no trouble owning up to experimentation, because if anything, such admittances will make them more attractive to males who drool and jerk at the thought of two females together. Now, I'm not saying that females who have had these slumber parties run off and tell family members, but non-relation males? Oh yeah, they'll tell them all about strapping on the snorkel and diving Clam Canyon when they were 15, because this will earn them erotic brownie points in most males' eyes. Whereas straight boys do not experiment. And if, in some alternate universe, they did, most would probably take that secret to the grave. Many gay teen males do not even experiment because they are overwhelmed with emotional turmoil and hiding these feelings of male attraction from everybody, especially parents. This is just one example of how we elevate juvenile females and are presenting them as pureness in a world of male filth, even though behind the female collective there is anything but purity and selfless loving. I must point out how we sweep all female misdeeds or debauchery under the rug, while we still honor girls with divinity accolades and spit on boys as immature demons, criminals in mini-form. Interesting how male devaluation trickles down and affects all citizenry, regardless of age. Now, obviously, both sexes have little angels and little hellions. I am just pointing out an additional area that males are once again being hounded and unfairly judged by problematic stereotypes. The same fuss should be made over males and the beauty of manhood as is made over girls and the sacredness of womanhood. This treasuring and protecting of one child's sex over the other tells both sexes that females are indeed more valuable and special, as demonstrated by their preferential treatment. And little kids can understand the difference in treatment even before they understand their alphabet. Maybe this is one reason boys are more rebellious and irreverent. They are subconsciously rebuking their substandard treatment and inferior worth compared to little sister. Ironic that females are seen as innocent and males as the corrupting influence, because, well, at least according to one particular source, it was the female who broke the rules and ate the apple, then tempted and encouraged the male to eat some fruit off of some tree when he was told not to. I don't know. It was no big deal. It just caused him to lose his innocence and get kicked out of some fancy garden a long time ago. That's it. Yeah, other than that, how was the limo ride, Mrs. Kennedy? Well, golly, it's funny how we ignore the corrupting influence of females upon males throughout history. Oh, those are just minor details, right? A friend of mine has a transportation business, and I was helping him one day by driving grade school children around to their various destinations. On this particular day, a girl of about 7 years old was in one of the back seats acting up. She was throwing stuff and smashing her backpack into the heads of the boys sitting directly in front of her. And when they would get mad and turn around and act like they might possibly retaliate, she would say, "Boys ain't supposed to hit girls." Then she would take another swing at them with her backpack as soon as they turned around and sat back down. So I told her it was not right to hit anyone and that she needed to sit down and put her seatbelt on. She defiantly retorted, "It's all right for me to hit. Boys just can't touch girls." Yep, that statement right there says it all. Duplicity, hypocrisy, and superiority all rolled into one slick, smooth statement issued forth from a 7-year-old girl who would not sit down and put her seatbelt on when the male driver told her to. Unless clarified and stymied, this particular statement only gets more and more ingrained and twisted as females grow. An exceeding majority of the female population wrapped themselves up in this statement like it was a protective blanket or shield, fully expecting to be able to abuse males without retribution or retaliation. I mean, really, in just that little girl's statement. "It's all right for me to hit, boys just can't touch girls." Think about all the factors that have culminated over years and years that finally coalesce into a divine little 7-year-old angel understanding duplicity, knowing that she is elevated and above reproach for her trespasses onto others, and then acting on such unjust biases. You think that juvenile females are pureness and innocence? You think girls do not know that they are elevated? You think that this exaltation knowledge does not affect their opinions, beliefs, or behaviors as they grow? You think that they are still wholesome despite the fact that they selfishly trespass males, knowing that they are held above reproach? Really? You think Lucky Charms hate being magically delicious? I watched a movie the other night where a teenage girl tells her younger sister that eventually one day the younger sister will have to get a job, to which the younger sister retorts, "Nah, I'll just get married." Really, do you think that girls do not understand or know that they are exalted, nor use that knowledge of exaltation to their advantage? Do you think that Ninja Turtles do not use their knowledge of martial arts to their advantage? Wake up, people. My brothers, stand with me, live free.